All right, so pretty much everyone here. And again, with that, how many of you have sustained some sort of injury that needed medical attention over the course of you playing that sport? Right, and that's a high percentage of you. And those of you said that you're injured playing a sport, you're part of 3.5 million Americans every year that are injured playing some sort of organized sport, college, high school, or youth level. And despite precautions and player safety regulations in organized sports, injuries are always going to be part of the game. And this notion that injuries are part of competitive sports is ingrained into Americans at a very young age. To go along with that, the roles of injuries and player safety in sports culture, injuries and the need for player safety taught during childhood starts with how many of us play sports over the course of our growing up years. And 30 to 40 million kids play organized sports every year. So it's a very high percentage of American kids between the ages of 5 and 14 are picking up lacrosse sticks, picking up football, and just exploring their sports interests. At 3.5 million of these kids receive medical attention over the course of their sporting season. So we see this number of kids getting injured every year. So in the professional level, which is what I'm going to get into later, you can kind of see how this notion that injuries are part of the game and there's something we have to live with is kind of embedded into how we think as people. Half of the injuries for children are regarded as overuse injuries, and this is due to improper coaching. And these type of injuries are like when a pitcher tears a rotator cuff by too many repetitions and not the right amount of stretching or something. Along those lines, it adds to this type of overuse injury. And that's a shockingly high number because that's something that can be prevented by adults. And this goes into the whole culture we have as Americans. And I really can't get into too much about how we objectify athletes, but we have certain mentalities like risk versus reward and winning versus losing that we kind of put injuries aside and we risk our well-being in order to, fight for glory and stuff in the sports arena. So that's one of those things. And then competitiveness and contact are two of the other major areas that we try to ingrain into kids growing up. And these are the two main things that go into professional football, which is kind of what I was basing this off of, types of injuries that can be sustained in football. And 28% of the players who are injured of that 3.5 million every year are football players. And these are the most catastrophic types of injuries. And these injuries are the most detrimental and have the most long-term effects out of any of the other sports. This is mainly due to the high speed and high intensity collisions that take place. So the types of, going along with this, the types of injuries that we see in football, we see minor injuries like sprained ankles and toe turf, which are part of the game and every player has to deal with this. And then the major injuries that set football apart from other sports are spinal cord injuries, concussions, and head and neck injuries. And some of the results of this are long-term brain damage, paralysis, and even death. And I'm going to get into some examples here. The guy on your right there is Chris Henry. And I don't know if a lot of you guys remember, a couple years ago he died falling off the back of a truck. And he had a lot of off-the-field issues, and people question his sanity a lot of times. And it turned out in his autopsy he had brain damage that could be linked to personality altering and mood changing effects. And this next guy coming up, Kevin Everett, he was a former Miami tight end, and in an exhibition game he was taken out, and they actually thought he was going to die, but he was able to actually overcome his paralysis and was able to stand again, which is a truly unique story for the severity of that type of injury. All right, this is just chart, you can give a quick glance at of the number of cervical cord injuries, which are categorized as catastrophic injuries. So if you ever hear that term, they're talking about cervical cord injuries. So that's that aspect of player safety. Just to get a better idea of how injuries affect people we may know, this is my friend Lou right here, and he's had 4 serious injuries over the course of his time playing here at Maryland, and they include herniated discs, permanent nerve damage in his right leg. He's had 2 type 2 separated shoulders and a grade 3 torn MCL. So his dreams of playing professionally are shot because of his injuries. So going along with this, he said, no matter how much people will do to ensure the safety of players, serious injuries are an inevitable part of football and that they cannot be changed. So with these injuries, we have to ask ourselves, what is the higher authorities in the league trying to do to help prevent and better treat these injuries? And the first thing they're doing is changing rules. NFL, the most recent rule change is the NFL has moved their kickoff line 5 yards up, and this is to limit the amount of injuries that take place during kickoff returns, which is our guy I showed you, Kevin Everett. That's how he got injured, was in kickoff return. And they're doing more research, and players are becoming involved and more concerned about their safety. And so I was going to show a picture of Matt Burke, who's a center for the Ravens, has donated his brain to concussion research for after he dies. That's not him, that's Vince Lombardi. But just to wrap up here, I have a little quote from Vince Lombardi. It says, "To play with confidence, the team must feel that everything possible has been done to prepare fully for the coming game. There's nothing more we can tell them." And the thing that I took from this quote, more than just winning and being prepared for a game, is preparing yourself safety-wise, because the longevity of yourself and your own personal health is probably the most important thing in life, and it's more important than just winning a game. So from all the way to youth leagues to the professional level, injuries are a part of the game, and there's something that can be done about them too. So I will leave you with this question. Will knowing the consequences of sporting injuries change the way that you think the next time you take the field? Thank you.
All right.